Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Aaron.
Co-op, Dice, Cosmos. It's obviously a good game.
In this game, you roll and go on an adventure. Roll for adventure.
Why are you the way that you are?
The title does kind of go along with it. You're going to be rolling a lot in this game because that's what you do. You're going to, on your turn, you roll dice. You select a number. So if you roll a bunch of threes, you could trigger those threes and put them on the board. If there's a space that requires threes, which there is, you put them out there, and then you re-roll everything else that you didn't use. And then you place one of those die, and then you re-roll everything else. You place one of those die, you re-roll everything else until all your dice are out. And then it's the next player's turn. Whenever certain sections are completed, you get to, everybody whose dice are there, it could just be yours, it could be a combination of ours, you get your dice back, and they go onto your player card, and then you get to retrieve those at the beginning of your turn and roll. If at any point you start and you don't have any dice there...
Well, not at any point. If at the
on
start
your
of your turn, any point within the game, at the start of your turn...
you don't have any dice, then you lose. So you've like spread yourself too thin, and we just, can't overcome this adventure.
So there is a little bit of a dichotomy with how you place your dice, because you do want to focus on one area because it's a more likelihood that that area will pop, so to speak, and you'll get the crystals, and that's what you need to win the game. You need 5 to 8, depending on the level of difficulty, and they are all different kind of puzzles. They will pop.
Puzzle's a strong word, I think.
Okay, so not puzzles, but little...
They have all different requirements.
Different requirements, but they like trigger in different ways. Mm-hmm. So... Puzzle's not the right word, but it's the word I'm using. But think about it. You want to focus on one area because that's what, will help it pop more. That's what you need to do to win the game. But you also want to spread out because that is increasing the likelihood that one of those will pop and you'll be able to get your dice back before the start of your turn. Because if you go ham on one spot and nobody else happens to roll sixes or put their dice there or whatever, then you could potentially all lose. Now, of course, you could be saying, guys, y'all got to put that there because otherwise we will all lose. But then you're kind of pigeonholing everybody else at the table. Well, we have to make sure we finish this before it gets around back to Tom's turn because otherwise Tom's going to cause us to all lose the game.
The other reason that you really need to spread out is the monsters. So at the end of every turn, at the beginning of every turn, between every player, a monster is going to come out with a number on it, 1 through 3, and everything with a lower number triggers. So the 1s are going to trigger when a 2 or a 3 comes out. The 2s are going to trigger when a 3 comes out. And those are going to go to a different zone and basically eat a dice every time they trigger. So when they plop down...
Some of them eat 2. Some of them eat 3, actually.
And so they are taking the dice off the board, but if there are no dice there for them to take, you just advance the little skull track. If the skull gets to the end of any of the track, they're over here. I'm playing with them.
Yeah.
If it gets to the end of any track, then you also lose the game. Mm-hmm. So even though you don't want to spread out evenly everywhere, because then you may not get anything and all your dice are locked out different places and you don't have any left. So it's good to focus on 1 or 2 and then have a little bit on the other ones maybe, just to kind of 1, protect them, and 2, set somebody else up for the potential of doing something cool.
And it depends on what you roll. If you roll, you don't have anything to place. You're trying to place 3s here, and I've got 3 of my 3s there, but you can't roll a 3, so you just have to start placing somewhere else. At your first roll, you have the most options potentially because you have more dice. But
unless you unlock a lot of bonus die later on.
There's the bonus die that you can unlock that everybody who helped unlock them can have that extra die. With the monsters, that's the biggest thing, is that once they start getting out there, we have to fight them off because if, at the end of your turn, you're triggering this new monster and it's okay, he's really strong, so he hypes up all the level 1s and all the level 2s and they all trigger and they all eat dice, we could lose the game really quick. So we need to keep them in check. You have to spend a 6 or higher to defeat them, so you could lock in a 2 on it and then roll and then lock in a 4 that defeats him, or even higher.
And if those monsters do, instead of doing damage, if they do start killing your dice, they go to the center, this void thing, and you have to spend dice to try and get them out. But that whenever you spend dice over here, that kills your turn, so you want to wait until it's the last die you're about to use. But if you roll a 1 on your last die, you're well, I guess maybe I'll put it there, but I don't even know.
Maybe I should use it on the board.
Yeah, it is important to get ahead of the monsters. Do not let them get out of control, because that can be real bad. And it's also good to have a balanced party almost.
Because you do all have player abilities, which is great.
It is great that you have player abilities, and I don't even think that's a variant. I think it's just, in the rules, it just says place them on your character card. I guess you could, in theory, play it without the ability.
The abilities are
card face
not
down.
something that I would play without. Like
Yeah,
it's not like
they're
it makes
not
the
hard
game
at all.
simpler.
This game is not hard at all. Really, this is like intro.
It says ages 10 and up, so
Yeah,
yeah, I
if-
could see even going a little lower than that.
I don't think there's. Is there any other game you would recommend somebody play who's new to games prior to playing this to get them up to this?
Yahtzee.
Okay, shut up. I hate you so much.
I get what you mean though. It's very much like you don't need a background in gaming. There's nothing to build upon. It's definitely an intro game. It's a gateway game, but it's like we played it and I had a lot of fun.
And once you've mastered it, there's a B side to these, which are even more difficult to defeat.
Yep, and you can mix them up. Have some A's, some B's. There's also harder villains you can mix in there that are. I mean, you really want to go slow with these because the game is actually somewhat difficult. It's very simple and easy game, but it's kind of difficult
It's
to
still
win.
easy to
Spiral.
lose.
It is easy.
Spiral out.
Yeah, if you're not. I mean, it's mostly like you'll lose your first couple of games, and then you'll kind of get the rhythm and realize that it's important to not let the monsters get out of control. We need to have a balanced party. You
You can also ramp up the difficulty with the different. But you just need more
Collect more
more
crystals.
gems
Yeah,
to
which
win.
makes the game longer. My only real complaint is honestly just the theme is really bland. It's like, and it almost sounds weird coming from me because I'm someone who sees like, oh look, there's all this flavor text and all this lore, but I'm like, I don't really care. But this almost feels like they didn't try at all to put any amount of theme, like even like the name of the characters is like, oh, there's the protector and the healer and the fighter and the thief. Generic art, like it.
Yeah, they didn't name the warrior like
Yeah.
Sir
Cave
Kill
troll.
a lot.
Yeah, cave troll, vampire bat, giant scorpion, black knight.
I get where you're coming from. I never noticed it. And partly I think it's 'cause it is such a light game. Like I wasn't expecting it to be dripping with theme.
And honestly, I'm just trying to find something that I don't like. The theme, and I mean, it is lighter than the type. Like it's a light game, therefore I'm never gonna lose my mind over it. It's never gonna hit my top 10.
Yeah.
But
For what it is, I think it's great. It's
what it
not
is,
something
yeah.
that our group is going to play a lot just because we're more advanced than this game is.
we're better than you.
No, but if you like co-op games and dice rolling, this is like the perfect mesh of them, and especially for like an intro game. If you're trying to get your friends into co-op games,
Can you think of another co-op dice game?
co-op dice game,
I mean, there
Escape.
probably are.
Escape,
That's
that's
not the
timed.
same. That's not the same.
It's too late for me to think about anything
yeah.
right now.
There's
I mean, I know there are. I'm trying to.
List
Yeah.
them in the comment section. Co-op
Yeah,
dice
do
games.
that. Also, while you're down there, you should purchase this. If any of what we how do we end our videos? How do we end them? If any of what we were talking about in this video sounds interesting to you, we're gonna put a purchase link to this game in the description box down below. Go down there and get yourself a copy. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never
Be bored.
All right, we're going to bed. Let's do it.